quickly, Betty here. This is an incredibly endangered and so beautiful and so cute and so sweet and so colorful betta fish species, a wild betta species called Betta api. I covered these guys a bit in one of my previous videos. I kind of showcased Betta api. I talked about them. I talked about how very critically endangered they are and a bunch of other species like them are because their habitat is slowly being whittled away by human development. And their habitat is tiny. It's really, really small. I got my hands on 2 pairs of Betta api a couple years ago now, and I just never really talked about them because I do cool things, and then I just don't make videos about it. I don't know why. I raised a couple of spawns, and now I have a ton of beautiful, colorful Betta api with their bright, shining blue eyes. They're so cute. I love them. Because they're such an incredibly critically threatened species, I have this little goal. Like, why not put my fish hobby obsession to a good use and try to spawn these guys as much as possible and to be able to send pairs out to whoever else is interested in maybe starting their own little spawning tank. I think the best way to save an incredibly threatened species is to make sure that there's a really nice, diverse, captive bred population. I want them to be more common just throughout the hobby. That would make me happy. So I decided I'm gonna set up a more serious mode spawning setup and breeding setup for the purpose of spawning as much as I possibly can and to raise as many fish as I possibly can to hopefully be able to distribute like next spring or next summer or so. So down below in the description area, I'm gonna have a link to a mailing list. You can go there, you can put in your email address. If you're interested in getting some Betta api when they become available, I can just write an email and say, hey, guess what? I have a bunch now. And whoever's still interested can go to my website and get them. Email address down below. Now I have to actually set up my spawning tanks because I'm ready. The fish are ready. I have a selection of 5-gallon tanks and 3-gallon tanks. Remember, these fish are very, very, very small. And now I just need a place to put those tanks in my house. So a little while ago, I thought to myself, gee, how can I make a nice functional place for these fish to go in my house for this endangered species breeding project while also being as extra as I possibly can? You know what isn't fancy enough? Shelves. Shelves are for the masses. How about a table? A table? Tables are for commoners. Special. Your fish are special. Your tiny little fish need their very own armoire. This exquisite hand-chiseled armoire would suit my tastes nicely. Ooh, the gold etching on this one's so fancy. Well, why not go totally gold, like this completely reasonable piece of furniture right here. This silver's flashy, the sparkle really catches my eye and would match all of my diamonds. Ooh, hello, I love all that visual interest. This would make the perfect fish tank holder. So hard to choose. After a lot of deliberation, I ended up choosing a lovely, modern and minimalist Scandinavian designed piece from Ikea, because your girl doesn't like to spend money. With a little elbow grease and a little bit of flair, I'm gonna turn this into a fish cabinet. Excuse me, I mean a fish armoire. Getting this made actually took me quite some time. I only have small snippets of time to myself during my days thanks to having 2 little kids and work. But I got my primer on finally. I chose this really lovely sky blue color to make my cabinet pop. I really like this color. Once I assembled my 2 cabinets, I knew I'd made the right choice. I chose some brassy gold hardware to complete the fancification, 4 feet and poles for the doors. I stacked the 2 cabinets on top of each other and then I attached them with brackets on the back. I attached the door poles to the doors, they're really cute, and this little LED bar fixture up at the top. That's an experiment, just to see how it looks. Also, always fix furniture to a stud for safety. I drilled some holes in the back, and I got some grommets, I spray painted them white, and and then I put them back there. After adding a little shelf in there, I love it. And here it is. Look at my lovely new blue and gold armoire. I think it turned out awesome. I think it looks cool. I love it. The handles did a lot, and let's open it up and I'll show you the tanks. Here it is. I'm gonna have 6 5-gallon tanks on the bottom. They fit in there just perfectly. Look at that. And then on the top, I'll have 8 2.5 or 3-gallon tanks. Of course, I'm not quite done there yet. This shelf will actually be supported by some supports and not by plastic jars, boxes, and One Piece and Slayer's manga. Due to circumstances that are totally not my fault and definitely not due to poor planning and time management on my part, I'm not quite ready to move the fish in yet. I realize I still have to do some bracing for the shelf there so it can hold the weight of those tanks. Kind of like down here on the lower part, you see I have some 1x6s as my braces all along. Also, there's a couple tanks I still need to put black paint on the back sides and the sides, because I like the look better. It just looks a little cleaner, more professional to have a painted tank, in my opinion. These need it too, and the tanks that are going to be going right there. I'm also still figuring out lids. I'm waiting on some glass pieces for these 5-gallon tanks. And for the 2.5 and 3-gallon tanks up here, I'm just going to be using pieces of plexiglass that are cut to size. But those are still in the mail. Also, I need to think of a way that I can control the temperature inside of the cabinet. Room temperature in this room is a little on the cold side for this, lovely tropical fish species. So I have some stuff coming that I've ordered. I'm going to be using heat tape run along the inside of my cabinets with a thermostat and just see if that can boost the temperature just a little bit without having like an individual heater going to each tank, which, I could do, but I realized it's going to be a nightmare of cable management and electric plugs, and I just decided I don't want that. I'm just waiting on some things to come in the mail. I much prefer instant gratification to waiting patiently, but we can't win all the time. But you know what I can do right now? I can get my booty to work. All these little tasks that need to be done is going to take me a little while because I don't have a lot of free time in my days. And all these little tasks add up. I can get these tanks painted tonight. I can get the sponge filters cycling and ready, ready to go by the time I get all my pieces and parts in and I actually finish. I'll be able to put my fish in pretty much as soon as I'm done with cycled sponge filters. I'm gonna start cycling my sponge filters, and because I'm not exactly ready with all of my tanks and the cabinet itself, I'm just going to cheat a little bit. I'm gonna take all of my uncycled little tiny sponge filters and I'm going to throw them into this tank and get them cycling all together, all in one tank. It's just gonna save me some space. All of my Betta Api Api tanks are going to be acidic because this is a sensitive little species from a very soft water acidic environment. So when I cycle my sponge filters, I'll be doing it in an acidic tank, so that way when all my bacteria grow, it's going to be the bacteria that thrives in acidic conditions. First, I'll put a buffering substrate inside of my little tank right here. Buffering substrates are awesome. They help take water that's not acidic and buffer it down to be acidic. The buffering substrate I use, and a lot of other fish keepers and shrimp keepers use, is from my sponsor, Brightwell Aquatics. This cute little tank actually comes with a hang-on back filter, and I want to fill it with biological media. I don't actually know where the filter media is that comes with this, so I'm just going to use a new one. It's a very porous material. The porosity of this stuff really helps hold on to a lot of bacteria. Here are all my cute tiny little sponge filters. I'll just put those in. Okay, it's ready to go. Because my tap water is really, really hard, it has a lot of dissolved minerals, it's very alkaline, I have to make my own soft water to use for my soft water tanks. I do this using my RODI system. I make pure RO water and then I remineralize it ever so slightly. And I think I really, really need to make an educational video that's just easy to understand with graphics and stuff. My little cycling tank is almost done. Now my last step is to actually add my bacterial culture and my bacteria food. I use Florinbacter to start all my tanks. Some people like to start with pinches of flake food. That's a really popular way to start the cycle of tanks. I don't like that. I like just being nice and clean, starting with a bacterial starter. How much do I do again? Because this is a really tiny tank. Okay, here goes my bacteria. Now I'm adding in my bacteria food. Because there's different strains of bacteria that eat different parts of the cycle, it's best just to make sure that there's stuff in there for all the different strains to consume all at once. Okay, I just squirted in some of the bacteria food. So now every day I'm going to be adding a little bit more bacteria, a little bit more bacteria food, and pretty soon all these sponge filters are going to have a nice population of beneficial bacteria. In the part 2 video that'll be coming out one of these days of me finishing my fish cabinet, armoire, for my Betta Api Api breeding project, I'll be doing all those little things and talking about them and then putting the fish in. So that'll be really fun. I wish I could have done it all in one video, but I just don't think that's realistic. This took me so long to do. But I'm gonna get it done soon. And then hopefully I will get these Betta Api Api spawning. And that's gonna be a really fun process to document too. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.